about overcoming exhaustion. Did you know that the majority of your exhausted feelings come from weariness that is emotional? And after the year all of us have had with the pandemic, I'm smiling like the pandemic. No, not really, but with the pandemic and the loss, the grief on every level that everyone is experiencing, we're all feeling a little tapped out. And I wanted to just put out a reminder that you have more control over that than you know, or than you feel you do. Oftentimes, it is very common for us to use our weariness as an excuse to create conflict, to not participate, to not communicate how we feel with our friends and family, to generally withdraw. And you don't have to do that. However, when you do that, oftentimes it's because you don't see yourself as having the energy to set the boundaries that are necessary for you on a daily basis with people in your life or with experiences in your life. If you've got animals, like right now, I have 4 animals, and luckily they're all sleeping. But they are all creatures who have their own mind and experiences, and it's really woo! It can get a little loud up in here. So, talking about exhaustion, I want to read you one little thing, and of course, that one little thing is from. So this is the Demon Slayer's Handbook series box set, which is it's a 5-year special edition, and it comes with all 3 books. And Conquer Your Karmic Relationships is what I'm going to be reading from today. And I think I'm going to read it off of the computer. It comes from the Slayer's Path, the practice of remembering, learning, and having. And it talks about what you need to do as a Slayer, as someone who chooses to overcome and move through whatever comes up in your life, and to have compassion for yourself. Slayers must develop self-awareness of their personal and cultural spiritual imprints or karma. The practice of remembering the vital elements of the mental, emotional, and physical conditioning and ideology with which they are born, and grieving or celebrating the truth about it. So that's a big deal. We all have interpersonal experiences that we feel certain things. Hi, Rummies. Nice to see you. Thanks for tuning in. We all have experiences and perceptions of what we think about ourselves, what we think about others, what we, ideology, cultural ideology. We all have these layers of innate or internal beliefs about the world that we live in. And those will color the way we see the world outside of us and ourselves. And if we're not aware of that, the layer upon layer upon layer of trauma that every individual has to some degree, not everybody has extreme trauma, but everybody has some trauma to some degree, because trauma is the way in which we recognize, our deeper feelings are the way we recognize the world around us and the way we recognize our own sense of personal power or lack thereof. So everybody experiences some of this trauma, and so grief is a natural part of that. And if you are unaware of the way in which your outside world triggers you and triggers that emotion, and think of how many profound occurrences we experience. Just if you watch the news for 5 minutes on any given day, there's a trauma that you are exposed to that's going to trigger something inside of you. And if you don't know and haven't grieved your own personal relationship to that thing, you're just going to feel tired. And then you're going to think that you're tired. And then you're going to focus on how tired you are. And each one of those layers of weariness is going to bring you down into a state of depression and or stasis so that you can become reflective on what you're really feeling and why. And so it's really important that you become aware. And for those of you out there who are like, what are you talking about? Like, you don't really have any awareness whatsoever. You have a little awareness, but you're not sure exactly what your own triggers are. Spend 5 minutes a day on it. Sit down with a paper and a pencil or your computer, create a document and say, okay, what are the 5 things that happened to me today that I feel the strongest about? And then, why did I feel that way? Or why do I feel that way? Just taking a few minutes every day to reflect a little more deeply on the conditions of your environment, the conditions of yourself, your body, how you feel. Paying attention to that and documenting it gives you a whole other relationship to it. When it's just inside of you and it's never communicated, it might stay confused and latent. But if you bring it out of you, put it on paper, it allows a little more objectivity, which creates a space for understanding. So the next thing that I want to read to you is becoming adept at learning the process of receiving new information that challenges your beliefs. How about that? Somebody tells you something, their opinion or a fact. Somebody asked me yesterday about whether or not I was going to do the vaccine for COVID. And I am. I believe that there's a lot of information out there and there's a lot of misinformation out there. But most importantly, what I do is there are 2 factors that I look at in making that choice. And the first one is, will it serve my body? Will it help me? And my personal answer was yes. I'm not really a vaccine person. In fact, I'm not even a Western medicine person. But I had to ask myself, will this help me? And it will. My spirit knows what is best for me. The second thing is, will it help others? And it will. The more people that are vaccinated, the more we can create a herd immunity for all of us. Because while I may not die from the virus, someone I run into may. So another thing that comes up as you become aware of receiving new information and challenging your beliefs about it is, let's say you asked yourself, are you going to take the vaccine? And you say, oh my God, no. I heard it changes the DNA and I am not going to do it. It is just bad all around. I think that the government is trying to get to me, or whatever you're thinking. You have to ask yourself where the crux of that belief comes from. Where does that come from? What is the fear that belies it? Because anytime you think that somebody's out to get you, maybe they are. But you have to have questioned yourself so fully that you know what, know who, know how, know why. If you can't answer all of those questions, then there's a good possibility that there is a karmic reason, a spiritual pattern as to why you experience discomfort. And you are entitled to look at that, flesh it out, break it down, understand it, and then grieve your fear about it. And then ask yourself the question again. Ask yourself, ask your body, what is best? Will this cause me harm? Am I neutral? If you're neutral and it doesn't really matter to you, then know that it's going to matter to other people. Right? So, but you have the right, the responsibility, and the opportunity to talk to yourself about what your body really needs and the impact on you. And beginning the process of questioning things that trigger you is how you get to the truth of what you need. Okay. If anybody has any questions, now's the time to start stirring those up. um, okay, so have the processes established to manage. A slayer must have the processes established to manage emotion, knowledge, and the physical world, all in a balanced way. Okay, the only way you can become balanced is to not be afraid of receiving new information and be afraid and releasing your fear on being open to new information. Information that may have been accurate to you, for you previously, may not be today. We are ever-changing beings, and every single day there is a new cocktail of information. There's a new cocktail of biorhythms. There's a new cocktail of emotions that we live through, that we experience. And if we are unwilling to recognize the opportunity that change brings us in all of those aspects of ourself, whether it's our beliefs or ideals, whether it's emotion, whether it is recognizing a new process, being open to grief, being able to change your mind on how to do something, how it needs to be done may have been different yesterday than it will be today. So being willing to be open to that constant flux is what is going to keep you from feeling weary, and it's going to help your body remedy or give you the instinct or insight as to what can remedy your physical world exhaustion and your emotional world exhaustion. So that's what I've got for you today, and I'm so glad that you tuned in. If there's anybody out there who has a question, you can write it up, and if you do not, then I will I'll check the comments at a later time. And just know that my heart is with you. Everybody out there is going through the things that they're going through, and if you will just take a little time to have a little compassion for yourself, you're going to have a lot more compassion for other people. So thanks again for tuning in, and this has been Tracee Dunblazier and Chatcast. Thank you.